Today I wanted to give an owner's report of what it's like to own a Focus Jam2. So behind me is my Focus Jam2. It's a 6.7 29-inch wheel 2020 model, and I don't think it's a lot different to the 2021 version, so this might give you some insights into that. I don't want to talk about what it's like to ride. There's a lot of reviews on what this thing is like to ride, but they are fantastic. It's like it's totally opened up my world to be able to go anywhere. Hills become inconsequential. But today I wanted to talk about what I've done with the bike since I've had it, what accessories I've fitted, the problems I've had, and maybe some things that you might not know about Jam2, things that I've discovered when I've owned it. So let's start with what I've fitted to this bike since I've had it. So the first thing I fitted to it were these Ergon GP1 grips, and I really like these grips. I've used them for years. They may not suit everyone. Sort of riding I do is more cross-country with more single trail and things, so I find these things really comfortable after several hours of riding. So love them, and I get no tingling in the fingers, and they're just a really worthwhile thing to put on your bike if you're getting tingling in your hands. The next thing I fitted was a rear guard. So this is really a front mud guard that I fitted to the rear swing arm, and that basically stops mud from going onto the rear shock. So what happens to the mud? It actually goes down like a chute down in front of the wheel, rather than spraying all over the back of the shock and the back of this seat post. And I also have one on the front one as well. That's the one that came with the bike actually. And all that does, it protects stops sort of mud going onto the front forks. That's pretty much what it does. It doesn't stop you from getting muddy at all. The other thing I fitted, which is awesome, is this light. So this is an 1800 lumen light I got off eBay and cost $20. I also got this mount, so this mount for the light, I also got that off eBay for like $17 or something. Cut down, there's like it's looks like carbon fibre bar, and you can cut that down and mount the light there. And this light then is wired in, so you can see the cable here. This then is wired into the actual battery of the bike. So people ask, how does it affect the range? It's a 20 watt light, so it's probably drawing about 1.6, 1.7 amps. So 20 watts, it's a 620 watt hour battery, so it should last 30 hours, which is not bad. And to be honest, I actually don't find it reduces range at all. It doesn't affect range at all that I can tell. So it's really good. So the wire actually plugs into the motor. There's actually a special cable that you get. It's a Bosch cable, plugs into the motor. And you may have to get the dealer to enable the light. So to turn it on, I'll just zoom back here a little bit. You press and hold the plus button on I've got a Purine display here. Just press and hold that, and that will then turn it on. Press and hold again, and it turns it off, which is very nice. So anywhere you are, when I'm riding on the streets, I typically have it on day or night, just so the cars can see you. It's very bright. It's actually designed for the motorcycle. So very, very happy with that. So let's talk about issues I've had with the bike. One of the ones that's not a major issue, but it's a bit annoying, and I don't know if other Bosch owners have had this problem, but this bolt has unscrewed itself. I was out in the middle of nowhere once, and I didn't notice that bolt had come out, and the actual crank came off. So I had to ride for, I don't know, 15 kilometres, just pushing this thing back on. So it's done it twice now, and now I've got Loctite all over this thing to see if I can hold it on. So now, when I'm out on a ride, I typically take a 8mm Allen key with me. It's a pretty big thing, as you can see, just in case that thing comes undone. So I had it serviced recently. They put Loctite on it, but it still came undone. You can actually feel the pedal start to or the crank actually start to get a bit loose. And when that happens, you just get in there and tighten this thing back up. So I took it out, cleaned it up, put Loctite, a lot of Loctite on it, and so far it seems to be behaving itself. The other thing I had trouble with was the rear hub. It sounded like the pulls weren't actually coming back in. They weren't returning. The spring wasn't strong enough or something. And so what would happen, it'd make this terrible grinding noise, and the cassette basically would sort of lock up a little bit and make this dreadful noise. So I cleaned it out, and I don't know what it was, but just cleaned out all the dirt and stuff out of there. And then it did it again, and then it's a Novatech rear hub, and Novatech came to the party and they actually replaced it under warranty. Didn't cost me anything. And since then, it's been fine. Apparently, they have different pulls and maybe different springs or something. So since then, haven't had any issues with it, and it's been really, really good. It sounds better actually. It's a different sound, so they must have improved it or something. While we're on the drivetrain, one of the things that has surprised me is how well this thing is wearing. Heard stories of people only getting 500 or maybe 1,000 Ks out of their cassette and chain, and I've got 1,700 on this. It's a bit worn. I don't know if you can see up close. It is a bit worn, but it's still working. I reckon I'll get probably 2,000 out of it before I replace it. The other thing is the tyre. So if we have a look at the tyre here, this is the rear tyre, and again you can hear stories about people getting a few hundred Ks out of it, just a few hundred Ks out of their tyre. This one's got 1,700 on it. It's the original Maxxis Recons. It's pretty worn, but again I might get a couple of hundred Ks, so it's going to be close on 2,000 Ks out of that tyre. And the front one is still in pretty good nick, as you can see. So I'll probably get double that distance out of it, I reckon. I want to talk about things that they don't tell you. No one tells you about this. One of the things that surprised me is when you turn the crank backwards, it doesn't turn the rear cassette, which is a bit annoying when you come to try and oil the chain. So you've either got to just turn the cassette like that with your hand and just oil the chain as you go. You can put it on a stand if you like and just spin it. But that was sort of something that was a bit surprising to me. So the odometer was actually reading fast in comparison to Strava and in comparison to other speedos that I've had. And it was like 10%, it was reading 10% further, at least 10% further. So I took it to the dealer, because the downside of this Purion system, the Purion display, is that there's no app for it. You've got to actually take it to the bike shop to get them to tweak it. So I measured the diameter of the front wheel, and if you want to know, the diameter of a 29er with Recon tyres on is 2320, so 2,320 millimetres. So I got them to plug that in. I think it was sitting on 2375 or something quite a bit higher anyway. And once they plugged in that number into the wheel circumference, it actually fixed it. It's almost perfect now. Perfectly records the distance. And the other thing is that you actually get a little bit more speed out of it, because now I think the reason why Bosch sort of makes the wheel diameter a little bit bigger is so that you don't actually exceed that 25 kilometre an hour limit. So I actually get a little bit more speed out of it, just because the wheel diameter is a little bit smaller. So a little bit of upside there. I want to talk about the charger. The charger that came with the bike is a compact charger, and Bosch does 3 chargers. They do a compact, a standard, and a high charge or a fast charge. So you can see, I don't know if you can read that, but right there it's got output 36 volts at 2 amps. Now, with this charger, it's only 2 amps. It charges at the rate of 10 kilometres per hour. So every hour will add 10 kilometres to the range. So if, let's say I find the range in tour mode is about 70k, 80k, sorry. So if you're totally flat, it will take about 8 hours to charge this thing, which is a long time. Usually not a problem because I plug it in after a ride and just leave it overnight. If you have a standard charger, they have a 4 amp output, and that would charge it in half the time. And then the fast charger has a 6 amp output, and that would charge it in a third of the time. So before you buy the bike, just check to see what what sort of charger you're getting with it, because if you want to charge it faster, that compact one will take a long time to do it. Now, talking about range, so when you reset it, so let's put it on range. So to swap between the various displays, you press and hold the minus button. So that's how many Ks I've done at the moment. Press it again, it will be, eco mode will be on 123. The tour mode, if we go tour mode, that will be on 80. It's on 63 now. eMTB mode will be on 68. And turbo will be on 60 when it's fully charged. So you can reset that by pressing the plus and minus together, resets it, and that resets from whatever you're doing before. And of course, then from then on, it depends. The battery management system will calculate what your range would be, and it varies up and down wildly according to what hills you're going up, what speed you're going up, how much effort you're putting in, and so on. So it's a constantly varying thing. If you leave it on charge, it will turn off. So when it's got to full charge, it does turn itself off. I don't like keeping it at full charge. It's not good for the battery, so I'll typically leave it at 75-80% of charge if I'm going to leave the bike there for a few days. And then a couple of hours before I go on a ride, I'll plug it in and just charge it, top it up to 100%. So that's my owner's review. Love the bike. It's just changed my riding world. It just allows me to go out and explore all sorts of areas that I would have thought were too hard before. So just a fantastic thing. Haven't had a lot of trouble with it at all, as you can see. It's been pretty reliable. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Thanks.